Hey, welcome to another edition of the Get Made podcast. I'm your host, Hassan Clay, and I want to thank you for tuning in. This is every Monday at 7 p.m., streaming from Restream on Facebook at Hassan Clay and on YouTube at the Get Made podcast. I want to thank everybody for last week. Y'all have kind of pushed my numbers up real nicely. I thank you. I had over a couple of thousand views. I really appreciate that. Let's keep it going. Tell a friend, continue to share the information, and continue to comment and let me know what you think about what's being said. So I'm gonna jump into this week's podcast. So one of the things that we always talk about, especially with women, is self-care, right? And a lot of times women go to the spa, they go to various different places, they go get their nails done, get facials, all this type of stuff means self-care. Now that's just a part of the self-care regimen, right? So don't get it twisted. It's a little bit more than that. But today we're going to talk about men in self-care, right? I know sometimes men think, oh, I'm going to the barbershop, I'm gonna get my hair cut, get my beard trimmed, do all this thing, and they think that's just self-care, right? But self-care is a lot more than that. And if we're going to still deal with this grounded masculinity, we have to understand a few more things about self-care than what we typically do. You know, taking a shower, yeah, that's still self-care, but that's not the end of the self-care movement, right? Brushing your teeth, okay, yeah, that's self-care, but that's still not again, that's not the end of the self-care movement. So let's look at a few things. I got about four things. I think I'm gonna throw a bonus in there for you guys today. And let's look at self-care. Right. So this physical aspect. Well, let me start here. We have a wellness wheel that I'm fond of talking about is spiritual, intellectual, mental, emotional, physical, and social. Right. And that's our wellness wheel. And we want to look at our self-care from this position here. So if we start looking at physical, how are we taking care of ourselves? Are we working out? Are we doing some type of walking? Are we doing some type of jogging for those of us who like to jog? Are we in the weight room? Are we working out? Are we doing something, some calisthenics? Or what are we doing in order to maintain a healthy mindset, emotional regulation by working out, by some type of physical activity, other than picking a fork up and putting it to your mouth, right? So, what are we doing in order to be a lot better physically, right? And this is about that self care because there's many studies, there's a multitude of studies that tells us that physical activity reduces stress, reduces depression, gives a person an opportunity to get some good sleep, and the list goes on, right? It keeps your skin clear, it keeps everything about you right when we are trying to do something physical. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go get in the gym so they can look like one of these fitness gurus or one of these bodybuilders out here, anything in the nature there. That's not the objective. The objective is to make sure that we are in optimal condition in order to get the job done, right? Just trying to keep ourselves healthy, keep ourselves going, keep our limbs going, right? Keeping motion going. I know it's for myself. I had gotten off of this physical track for a while, and I'm back on it. Think a lot of you guys may have seen my reel when I'm sitting there doing a workout. I'm very much into Indian clubs and kettlebell. I'm using the mace, right, and doing the gamma cast. And I'm also learning now some Tai Chi and learning to stretch and different things in nature there just to get my body in better shape. I know for myself, I had an accident a few years ago that really kind of knocked me out of the box, and I had various different surgeries. And so I'm trying to get myself back into better shape after working through all these surgeries and working through these epidurals and all these things that take place because of that accident. And so that leads me to my second thing here, and that's our food intake. Now, me, I'm a foodie. I love to eat, right? But as I age, I understand that I can't eat the portions that I used to eat, right? I can't eat the foods. I used to be a cake and cookie guy for sure, right? I love cake, right? German chocolate, red velvet, you name it, I'm putting it away, right? But I can't do that anymore because as I age, that stuff don't come off for you so quick, right? And I have to do things in moderation and some things in less than moderation. I have to really watch what my intake is because again, I'm able to be in a position of picking up. I'm a big guy, right? So weight is easy for me to pick up, right? So I know I'm not the only one out there that suffers from not eating, right? And so I want to make sure that we, as grounded men, start looking at our intake, what that protein, what that fiber look like, right? What that lean protein look like. What are you eating enough vegetables and fruits and different things like that? Are you drinking water? I can't stand water personally, but I try to drink a little bit more than I probably had before, but I'm telling you the truth, I can't stand this stuff. But we may dislike a thing that is good for us, right? So, what are we doing in order to be in better shape? Next, the mental aspect. How are we taking mental breaks? There's this big movement. I remember a few years ago in the Olympics, the young lady, um, I forget her name, Biles, Simone, I think her name is Biles. I forget her first name. But anyway, she had dropped out of a couple of competitions because she needed a mental break, right? How are we taking mental breaks? How are we reducing the stress? Are we sitting there? Are we in prayer a little bit more? Are we meditating? Are we mindful of the things? Are we just taking a moment to just breathe? Right? Breathing is shown to be very beneficial for the body, right? And are we taking good breaths? Are we inhaling the correct way and exhaling the correct way? Right? This is kind of getting some of this stress off of you, giving your mind a break, right? Because this society that we live in keep us on the go, keep us on the go, keep us on the go, right? It keeps us moving. It keeps us out here trying to compete with each other, try to be on the hamster wheel, out here in the rat race, as they call it. And yeah, this is a moment that in our day and time, this is a moment where stress is really, and stress, high blood pressure, all these things here are the number one killer, especially of black men, right? This is heart attacks, this is a killer of black men, right? And so what are we doing in order to kind of keep ourselves going? Not only this, and we go back to this physical exercise and things in nature there, muscle is a sure builder of testosterone. And they're showing that now men as early as 35 years old are losing testosterone. And bro, I'm telling you, you need it. All right. Real talk, you need it. Because as you get older, you start coming up with these erectile dysfunctions and different things that take place. And we're going to have real conversations, right? And then you're trying to figure out what's the problem. And all this stuff is caught up in how we are dealing with each other, dealing with ourselves physically, how we're not exercising, how we're not eating correct foods. We eating all these processed foods. You know, we killing McDonald's and different things like that. And only that, then we having these mental breakdowns. We having all these stressors, right? That continue to kill our testosterone, right? And so we're young, we're 45, we're 50, you can't stand an erection, or your erection is you got to get Viagra, and you got to get Cialis, and you got to take all these old other drugs and different things that let you there. And you're trying to, looking at your woman, she looking at you crazy, and she trying to give you the okay, it's all right, baby moment, right? But you know it ain't all right. Keep the thing 100, bro. You know that ain't all right. And she's sitting there wanting, and it doesn't feel good as a man not being able to perform. And so we have these different things that really kind of take us out, right? It takes us out. It brings us down. And believe me when I tell you, the mental aspect is where a lot of our manhood really sets, right? How we think we are is how we show up. And so these depressions start hitting us, anxiety is hitting us, all these things here because we're not taking mental breaks. We're not doing something to relieve ourselves of this mental anguish. And last but not least, our social connections. How are you connected socially? What are you doing out here to give yourself a social outlet? Are you going to your places of worship? Are you joining any of your institution, your clubs, or different things in nature there? Are you doing things virtually? I'm not one for really a lot of virtual relationships, but that is a way of conducting relationships virtually, right? I know several people who have long-lasting friendships and they met online, right? And so how and what you are doing in order to promote self-care for yourself, and then passing this on to your family, to your sons, to your daughters, to your wife. What are you doing? What are you doing to stimulate your mind? Are you reading? Are you just scrolling? Right? Are you picking up a book? Are you even reading a book on your phone? Are you just looking at videos all the time? Like you're looking at this one right here, and I appreciate you, right? But this is information that I hope you will then go back and do some of the things that I'm actually talking about here. You take this thing offline and pick up a book and go out here and get you a walk, get you a brisk walk. You don't have to run. Some of us too old to be running, right? I used to have a thing, never ran, never will, right? But that was an old life though, right? But anyway, when you start talking about trying to get yourself in a better position, and we're trying to fight off diabetes and high blood pressure and any of these other illnesses that take us out as Black men, and then men in general, but especially Black men, right? Because we are suspect to a lot of different, subjected to a lot of different illnesses that we really don't take into account. And here comes the bonus. You need to make sure you get not only your therapist for mental health or a coach for helping you as an accountability partner, but you also need to be taking yourself to your primary care physician and get you a team of specialists, right? Get you a urologist so you can keep yourself checked out, keep your man member checked out. Get you a cardiologist to make sure your heart is ticking correctly, right? Get your neurologist to make sure your nerves and your things are taking place, get your, or go to the dentist, go get your eyes checked out. Do these things because, one of the things that we're not doing, we have a problem as men taking ourselves to the doctor. And a lot of us have insurance that we hardly even use. We only go when we just die or sick, or we got to go to the emergency room. When you should be going to get yourself checked out on a regular basis. Man, you're paying money for these insurances, right? You're paying money for this insurance that you're not using. You're just throwing away money, and you should be using it, right? And so I want us to be in a position of trying to get better, of trying to learn to get better. Some of us who are my age group in this from this podcast is about 25 to 55. I got some stragglers here and there on the other side of those two, but majority of these people that really watch this podcast, I got an over 50% rate for men. And the reality of it is that age group is where it's hit the hardest, right? That age group is where we start taking it for granted. Some of us at 25, and then we start wishing for better days at 55. And we need to be in a position of trying to do more for ourselves. Instead of going out here and just buying cars or buying clothes, how are you taking care of you? And it's just those small tweaks, those very small tweaks that we have to really do and be consistent. We talk about grounded masculinity. And one of the things in grounded masculinity is consistency and being competent, knowing ourselves, knowing our body, right? And being congruent, having some balance. We ain't asking you to go in and start taking steroids and all this old type of stuff here. We are saying do something in order to keep your muscle mass up, keep yourself going, right? And making sure we have these connections. We talking to each other. We asking each other, man, how, what's your water intake like? What's your food intake like? What you doing for yourself, man? Are you keeping yourself together? You keeping your feet together, right? Some of us got some bad looking feet, man. Real talk. And your feet is going to tell it on you, right? Some of us got these, calluses that we ain't took off our feet, and we ain't clip them toenails like we supposed to and keep ourselves together, right? Real talk. I'm talking real to you. I'm talking real to you. I'm not here for fun and games, right? I'm not talking about something just to be funny. But how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of our body? Are we really trying to take in enough fluid so we can make sure that our system is working properly? Our GI tract is working properly. Are we taking enough fiber so make sure our GI tract is working properly? This is self-care. This is taking care of you, because if you don't take care of you, nobody else will. Keep that 100. If you're not taking care of your body, if you're not taking care of your mind, if you're not setting up and trying to put up boundaries and establishing real boundaries for yourself, nobody else will. And understand this. If you don't plan for you, somebody got to plan for you. And I'm trying to make sure I encourage my brothers, all my brothers. And, and I know your women probably been at you for the longest. Hey, man, mine have, and for years telling me, you need to eat better. You need to do this. You need to do that. And only recently, when I really really had to, did I really understand the fullness of what was being said to me. Right. And so in that, I want to make sure that I pass this information off to my men out here. All right. To my brothers. I'm straightening the crown of my brothers, adjusting the crown of my brothers. Right. We got to make sure that we do what's right. We maintain, we get some things going. If we not have a gym membership, if you can't afford a gym membership, hey man, jumping jacks work too. Push-ups work too. Setups work too, right? Mountain climbs, whatever. You don't have to go to a gym to do all that. You can go right in there and get in your living room and get down, right? You can get out there on that street and walk up and down that street and get you some laps on that street. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. If you ain't got the money, that's okay. You still can take care of you, right? It don't cost a lot to read a book, to keep your mind straight, keep yourself straight. You know, maybe if we chose better food options, then we can use the money and then decrease on our portion size, but eat quality foods, right? Because a lot of times we eating foods based upon we eat so much that we buy junk food, right? We buy a lot of junk food. And so if we then, you know, I know it's a narration that says 1/3 water, 1/3 food, and 1/3 air. So that means we got to try to learn how to eat a little differently. You can't just be gorging out. Plate can't be piled up high, right? We have to kind of gorge out. I had to learn this whole thing myself. I done went from doo-wopping and double hitting it. You know, for those y'all know what doo-wopping is. You know, I done went from double hitting it and having double portions, just eating once on my plate and eating regular portion size, right? And learning how to eat a salad, right? I ain't gonna tell you no lie. It was hard because I don't care for lettuce too much, but I'm learning how to eat a salad. I'm learning how to eat more vegetables and things of that nature there. And I just want to pass this on to my brothers out here because for my young brothers, you're getting older. All right, don't get it twisted. You take care of your youth before your youth is gone, right? And from some of my older brothers, you still got time to kind of change some things around. You know, none of us know when our life is supposed to end, but we can have a better quality of life. And that's what timing is. Self-care is about quality of life. What is going to be your quality of life? Even if you are sick and you have diabetes and you have different things, there's still some things that you can do for you. You can take care of you even in that state. And I'm talking to all of you out there. I'm talking to my brothers out there. I want you to know I'm talking to you, talking to my brother. You can do something with this life. You don't have to just accept what it is. You don't have to accept all these medications that they're putting us on. And we don't have to do this. We can do something different. We can have a better quality of life. And this is what self-care is all about. So with that, I'm going to end this segment of the Get Made podcast. Again, share my stuff, share this stuff. If you go over, if you're on Facebook, please go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Get Made podcast. I really, truly appreciate it. If you're on here, and please share. If you have a friend, a brother, a cousin, a father, I don't care, whoever it might be, dude down the street, you know, homeboy next door, tell them about this podcast, right? Because this is for your people. This is for your men, right? This podcast is for your men and you sisters, because I know a lot of you sisters be on my stuff. That's what's up. Appreciate it. Turn your boys on, though. Turn your men on, right? Have them sit down and check it out. We got to do something different, brothers. And it starts today. All right. Y'all have a good one. And I'm going to see you next week.